Hello and welcome to Bite Size Rallying episode 3, and this time we're going to talk about this car, the Opel Ascona 400 rally car. So picture the scene. It's 1981 and in those days tobacco sponsorship was bankrolling motorsport big time, and Rothmans wanted the king-size cigarette brand emblazoned across the sides of the exciting four-wheel drive turbocharged Audi Quattro. So the Rothmans entourage drive to Ingolstadt in Western Germany to the Audi HQ. They want to pay big time to have the Rothmans name on the Quattros, but this is the era when the whole tobacco sponsorship in sport, the morals and the ethics of that are beginning to be questioned, and Audi deny Rothmans' advances. So, undeterred, the Rothmans PR machine sets foot across the Autobahn and lands up in Russelsheim, the HQ for the Opel World Rally team. And Opel aren't really in a position to deny these advances, and they accept the deal. And for 1982, the Rothmans Opel World Rally team will grace the World Rally Championship and the British Open Championship with the Asconas liveried like this one. So, but the Ascona have been around since 1979. It made its debut on the 79 RAC, and throughout 1980, it won early on in the Swedish rally, but it hadn't really had that many great results. And in 1981, it received a lot of solid top 5 finishes in the WRC. True enough, in Britain, Jimmy McRae, driving this car, GG CJ690, had actually taken victory in the 1981 British Rally Championship. This car was then re-liveried with Rothmans for 82. So, it's Monte Carlo, January 1982, and the Rothmans team steamroller into Monaco for the Monte Carlo. Walter Rose spearheads the attack, and it's a formidable team, and they've got a real presence. The 5.7 litre Chevy V8 service barges, the whole PR machine, they look good. But they're up against the Audi Quattro turbocharged four-wheel drive, and this thing's 260 brake, front engine, rear drive, very conventional machine. It's been around a few years. But Walter Rowe is a master of Monte Carlo, and this year the weather conditions were unseasonably dry. Rowe was dynamic, and he took a cracking victory. Hannah Mick on the Audi Quattro just basically couldn't keep up, and Rowe beat him into second. Joshua Client, fellow German driving this car, looked on course to finish second for quite a long way throughout the rally, but a series of problems in the end he finished 7th. So, and throughout 1982, Rowe was very consistent, and he drove for results, he drove for points, he drove for finishes, and he only won one more time in the Ivory Coast rally towards the end of the season. But in doing so, he wrapped up the 1982 World Drivers' Championship. Michèle Mouton, the French lady driving the Audi Quattro, had been Rowe's biggest opponent. She looked set to be a possibility for the title, and there was quite a battle between Mouton and Rowe. Mouton criticised Rowe for driving for points. She favoured driving for wins, and if that meant she fell off into a ditch or the car blew up, so be it. And it's fair to say there's quite a lot of controversy between the two, and the spat raged most of the year. In San Remo in October, goaded by journalists, Rowe said the unthinkable. He said, if a woman won the World Championship driving a superior car, he wasn't interested in the championship, wasn't worth winning. So, although Rowe won the championship, he had quite a few critics, and he didn't exactly endear himself to everyone. That year, in the RAC rally, Rothmans was still in contention. Rothmans Opel to win the Manufacturers' Championship. It was a fierce battle with Audi, so they lined up a series of Asconas for Rowe, Henley Triven and Jimmy McRae, Harry Vatman, all in an attempt to steal the World Championship from Audi and achieve the double, the drivers and the makes. But on the eve of that rally, on the Saturday morning, in a York hotel room, Tony Four, Walter's boss, sensed that Walter had already won the title, and he wasn't really interested in driving for the team. He didn't feel. So, over breakfast in a York hotel room, he told him to pack his bag and go back to Germany. And this man, Joshua Client, his fellow German, was half eating his pretzel for breakfast. He got up on a plane and came to England, and on the Sunday morning he started the RAC rally. Now, as it happened, it wasn't a great event for Opel. Audi finished 1-2, and apart from Henry Tyvenen, all the cars faltered. And Tyrone did drive very, very well. And he actually almost split the Quattros, finished only 6 seconds behind Muto, but Audi had won the championship. So it's one apiece. And Rotham's had achieved part of the goal in World Championship terms. Walter Rowe was Drivers' Champion. In the British Series, it was a real battle between Henry Tyrone in one of these cars, Jimmy McRae, also in an Ascona, and Hannu Mikkola in an Audi Quattro. Now, Tyrone featured well on the World Championship events that he contested that year. He proved in Finland that a well-driven 260 brake horsepower car can keep up with the Quattros over Finland's jumps and the gravel stages. And he was arguably the best driver in terms of speed at that time. And he looked like winning potentially in Greece and Italy as well. So we'll come to Britain, and the Quattro, as expected, dominated the gravel events. In the opening round, the Mintex Rally in Yorkshire, Mikkola took the victory. Tyrone was second, and off-colour Jimmy McRae could only manage 4th. But a few weeks later, Easter and the Circuit of Ireland Rally, McRae turned the tables. The Quattro was nowhere on tarmac, and there was a battle between Tyrone and McRae, as well as Harry Vatnam's Ford Escort. Vatnam faltered, and Henry looked like he was running away with it. But Jimmy, in true Jimmy style, kept his cool, and he let the youngster do his thing. And sure enough, ultimately, Henry put the car off the road, hurt his wrist, and had to settle for, I think it was 3rd place. Jimmy took the event, and it was his hat-trick of Circuit of Ireland victories. In Wales, a month later, it was McRae's turn to crash. He wrote his Ascona 400 off on the Epic Military Ranges, and he admitted afterwards he was trying to catch the young Finn. He should have just settled to finish behind him on that event. As we got to the Scottish Rally in June, when Hannu Mikkola's Audi Quattro broke its steering on the first stage and landed up plumb last. It looked like it was going to be a battle between the two Asconas and Harry Vatnam. Jimmy had the measure of Henry all the way through that event, pretty much. And when Vatnam faltered, and Stig Blomqvist Talbot also faltered, it looked like Jimmy was going to win his home event, the Scottish Rally. But sure enough, the 4-wheel drive Quattro was catching the Opel, and there's nothing Jimmy and his co-driver Ian Greenwood could do about it. And ultimately, Greenwood told McRae to settle for second, don't throw it all away with another crash. And duly enough, McRae finished second, and the bagpipes Hannu Mikkola over the finish line in Scotland, with a dejected McRae looking on. But we'll come to the Isle of Man and the season finale. And the Quattro and Russell Brooks' Vauxhall Chevette could technically win the championship, but the Quattro was nowhere on tarmac. And there's a battle royal between these two Rothmans Opels, McRae and Tyrone. So on the battle race for most of the 3-day events, and in the opening day, on the opening morning of the final day, McRae actually disconnected the rev limiter on his Ascona so that he could ensure that he had everything at his disposal to beat Tyrone. Ultimately, Tyrone crashed, and McRae duly plugged the rev limiter back in to save the engine. As he was doing so, Tony Fall, the team boss, looked over his shoulder, asked him what he was doing. He pretended he was checking a loose connection, but ultimately he knew he'd sacrificed the car, but he was that desperate to beat his teammate. And Jimmy achieved his second British Championship on the bounce in an Opel Ascona 400. And back come 1983, and the Ascona, it's got a World Championship under its belt, it's got a British Championship twice, it won the European Championship with Tony Facina, McRae finished second, so a cracking year in 82. Come 1983, the Ascona is going to be replaced by the Manta, but before it did, Harry Vatnam scored a memorable victory on the Safari Rally, really tough event, and it was a great way to sign off before the Manta replaced the Ascona. So, hope you enjoyed the video, Opel Ascona 400. So if you do decide to like, share or subscribe, you'll be doing so safe in the knowledge that you're joining a very exclusive club. So, see you the next time for more bite-sized rallying. Thank you.